Hey everyone, I wanted to take the chance to have a quick discussion topic as we're a few days from the new Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak digital event presentation, as Capcom is about to showcase all the new goodies we're getting for the first free title update for Sunbreak. In this video, I want to try to tackle everything that we can expect to see being shown in this specific presentation as to what monsters we'll be getting, what maps will be included, what features have been confirmed and some unconfirmed ones that we might actually get to see, and what surprises could actually show up. And of course, I want to hear your guys' opinions on what we can expect to see being shown, as for what monsters, what features you think should be included, if not for this update, for certainly next future updates as well, as we expect to get 3 more into the future. So of course, first and foremost, we can expect pretty much 100% guaranteed to get a brand new trailer. This brand new trailer is going to be showcasing a couple of new interesting things, I think. And I actually want to discuss the thing that they'll most likely are going to tease at the back end of the trailer, and that's most likely that they are going to tease the next wave of monsters that we are going to get in free title update number 2. This is something that they've usually have done in the past. They like to drop a quick reveal for whatever is going to be coming up next, not just necessarily what is going to be happening pretty much right away. Now, I don't expect them to actually go crazy and show you pretty much every single monster in the second free title update, but I do expect them to do a teaser very similar to the one that we got before we knew Kezu was actually going to be in Rise. If you remember, I believe they showed like a baggie or something kind of like walking around, and then you saw lightning on the floor, and then you heard the Kezu shout, but you didn't actually get to see it. So you had to put 2 and 2 together to be able to know that the Kezu roar was pretty much what was actually being heard in the background, and that is what they were actually teasing in that specific scene. I'm guessing something similar is gonna be happening with the brand new variant of Mitsuzune that we are expecting for the second free title update. I do also want to make this very clear. Apparently, based on some of the translation issues, people were saying that apparently when they mention in the roadmap special species, they actually mean variants. It seems to have been some sort of weird translation, and just for clarification's sakes, there's no actual Mitsuzune variant at all. We have the Apex version of Mitsuzune, the Deviant version of it, which of course is Soul Seer, and the special species, which is something that we discussed in the previous video, which would have been Thunder Bubble Mitsuzune, but since we now know it's just going to be a variant, it's most likely going to be a new monster. But that's pretty much all about regarding the next free title update, which I think they're probably going to tease something with, but they're not going to reveal the whole thing, of course. Now, as far as the actual free title update number 1, I think it's going to be dropping on the 10th. For that, we have many reasons to believe as to why that is. First and foremost, I made a video a couple of days ago discussing the couple of articles that actually mentioned that it was going to be dropping on August 1st. This actually led a lot of people to be confused and say that maybe it had been delayed, but obviously that was not the case. Then we went over the fact that there was a YouTube video from Nintendo stating that the free title update was set to drop on the 1st. They actually went ahead and changed it to the 10th, and then they went ahead and changed it to just say August. So basically, a lot of people just basically took that to say the actual meant to say the 10th, and therefore, you know, this presentation releasing on the 9th, the day before the actual release date, makes a whole heck of a lot of sense. So this presentation is most likely going to confirm in that original trailer that they're going to showcase that it will be dropping on the 10th. Now, as far as monsters are concerned, obviously we know 2 of them already, Lucent Nargacuga and Seething Bazelgeuse. We've seen plenty of Nargacuga already in the teaser trailer. Seething Bazelgeuse, all they've actually wanted to give us is the armors. Of course, we've already seen it in 2 separate shots, so that is pretty much not that much of a surprise. What will be a surprise to some people is that who still don't necessarily know, that people have looked into the game and the information, let's just leave it at that. And we can expect the 2 metal Wraths, Gold Rathian and Silver Rathalos. Now, is that really going to be all that exciting for people who've played these monsters in the past, who've been able to hunt them in the past? Probably not so much, but it will be interesting for those who haven't been given the chance to be able to check them out in the past. As staple monsters go, these pretty much have appeared in many of the games already in the past, so them appearing once again is not, you know, one of those big surprises that we can expect. What I do expect there to be is probably another surprise reveal, probably another such species. I think they're going to have a 5th monster. A lot of people have speculated there's only going to be 4. I think there might be a 5th. As to what that actually could be, there's a lot of candidates. I really don't want to necessarily hesitate as to what it could possibly be, but if I had to wager a guess, probably Chaos Gore Magala would be one of those that we can expect there to see. He has been rumored for the second and or third wave of the DLC, but again, those are just rumors. It's not necessarily anything confirmed or something that people have actually found in the game files themselves, so it's kind of hard to really, confirm any of that ahead of time. But all in all, I do expect there to be a 5th monster there. Whether they actually reveal it, I do think they'll most likely tease it, or will they actually let us find it on our own, which actually means people are just going to upload gameplay of it pretty much instantly, and then other people are going to be upset. Yeah, that's actually going to happen. So, I think it's better for them to just go ahead and reveal it and get it done and over with. Now, as far as monsters, it doesn't necessarily end there. Remember that afflicted monsters are also going to get a brand new batch of additions, as we can expect, basically being introduced. New quests for previous monsters that simply did not have an afflicted version in the game are also going to be appearing. Now, the question falls in twofold. 1, how far would they actually go? Will they just give us afflicted quests for things like Pyrarachnakadaki, Espinas, Magma Almudron, Lunagaron, even Seregios? Which is basically to say every single monster that isn't an Elder monster and or an endgame monster. So basically everything that's there, maybe even a Gore Magala actually gets, I don't think Gore is actually considered an Elder. I think Shagaru was an Elder, but I'm not sure if Gore is. I think it has those weird question marks, so it actually has people a lot of guessing what is the true definition of Gore. But the point that I'm trying to make here is that would they actually just give us afflicted quests for every monster up until Elders, or would they actually go all out and give us quests for pretty much the entire other half of the monsters that simply did not have a current afflicted quest in the game right now? That would include the Elders, and that would even include Gaismagorm as well, which would be insane since technically he's already an afflicted monster, as you're already hunting him and he's basically got the curios all over his body. I think this is probably going to be a really interesting approach whichever way they decide to go, because if they just do half of them, so like I said, everything up to Elders, and they don't include Elders or endgame bosses or monsters, and then of course even Valstrax, for example, then that leaves us with a free title update number 2 being having the option to go ahead and include even more of those monsters and pretty much round out the roster. That would also include anything that's DLC available to be able to become afflicted in the 3rd title update, so they could actually choose to segment it in that format and keep people hoping and waiting, since we're going to get more afflicted hunts. Now, when it comes to maps, it's pretty clear that all we're probably going to get is Forlorn Arena for Lucent Nargacuga, but that doesn't necessarily mean there might not be another arena being showcased probably for the future, the 2nd free title update. Probably every single one of the updates could go ahead and just simply have a brand new arena for one of the monsters that they showcase, like the aforementioned Mizuzune that is going to be a variant. That actually could go ahead and have his very own arena as well. Again, that's speculation on my end, but it could be one of those things where like every single title update just gets a brand new arena, and that would be pretty cool to see. And of course, with the introduction of new afflicted monsters, that also means that we're getting new afflicted materials and new items that we are actually going to need to hunt. But these are going to be falling in 2 specific purposes. One basically will be armor augmenting, and the other one will be weapon augmenting. Now, when it comes to armor augmenting, I've made a separate video on that and I talked about it already, but it simply boils down to 2 specific points. How bad will the grind be, since it's all RNG based, and how high the quality will be of the skills that we're actually able to get. Since basically, we do know that we can get like elemental boosts, for example. Maybe we can get other basic skills like earplugs or hunger resistance, maybe even quick sheath, which would be really good for longsword users, as if they really need any more buffs. But then it begs the question, just how high the tier of the skills that we can actually earn or randomly RNG put into any of these armor pieces, how high can we actually go? Can we get a +1 weakness exploit on like gloves, for example? Can that be a possibility? How many materials are you going to have to waste to get the RNG to actually give you a weakness exploit +1 on just a random set of gloves that don't actually have weakness exploit, and you can't slot it in on your normal decorations? That would be something worth considering, and I'm sure the meta is going to be revolving around that. But can you even have weakness exploit? Are they just going to leave it to low tier skills like I mentioned before, like hunger resistance or quick sheath or maybe even earplugs or something like that. Useful skills, don't get me wrong, but they are lower quality skills for sure. That's one of the questions that I certainly hope for them to answer, but I'm not necessarily sure they will, since again, anything RNG related, like we know with melding and talismans, it just gets a little bit iffy and they don't really like to mess around and talk about it too much. Now, thankfully, when it comes to weapon augmenting, this one is pretty much more straightforward. Since I spoke about this yesterday, I talked about how basically decorations for augmenting could potentially be tiered for future free title updates, where basically this is just the first wave of the free title update decorations or curious crafting options that we are going to have for weapon augmenting, but they could potentially add way more of them in the future. They could give you health regen, they could give you defense, they could give you actually swap one curious crafting, slot from your weapon, so you can actually go ahead and have, instead of a rampage slot, you could just have one more normal decoration slot on your weapon, so you're trading 1 for 1, which actually becomes extremely powerful. So they could really open up the possibilities. They could give your hunting horn a brand new song, a custom song option. They could give your shells for gunlands a brand new slot for you could go ahead and slide in one more shot. The same can be said for bow, light bow gun, or heavy bow gun. The options here are endless, and I think if they decide to go the weapon augmenting route for future free title updates, they could just keep adding more decorations, curious crafting options in the future. I made an entire separate video on that. I'm going to leave a link in the description below. I think it's a lot of interesting things worth considering when it comes to choosing the way they can actually expand this going forward into the future. And of course, there's 3 more things that we can actually touch upon. First is the quality of life improvements that they are going to be adding for this specific update. We've gone over a few already, basically like the spider update that we went over just a couple of days ago, as they're going to be addressing that. They do mention that probably they're going to address that in the future as well. That would be good. The auto invite situation that you have whenever you leave someone a thumbs up, they're going to be addressing that as well. In the Japanese blog update, they also mentioned a couple of menu changes that they are going to be doing. They also spoke about weapon balancing in one of the developer interviews that they had for a Japanese outlet. I forget which one, but I did want to make like a separate video on that, because we've had like a lot of discussion regarding weapon balancing and how they're choosing to go about it. So they did mention that Sunbreak will be receiving weapon balancing across the board for multiple weapons, but of course they weren't very specific about any of that, so we can be expecting something to happen along those lines. At the very least, they dipped their toes into it for now in the beginning with this free title update. And of course, we can expect a brand new set of patch notes that will be addressing a couple of other things that most likely they don't feel like is worth showcasing in a trailer, but of course, at the end of the day, it could be extremely valuable for your moment-to-moment experience. But that's pretty much everything that I think will be touched upon in the actual presentation itself. And I certainly want to hear your guys' opinions as to what it is that you actually want to see, what monsters you want to see appear, maybe new maps, layered weaponing, which is something that a lot of people have been asking, not only in my video comments, but I've seen this stuff posted in Twitter and social media and even the subreddit as well. People want to see layered weapons as well. This is something that they need to do. People have been asking for it. It kind of just needs to happen at this point, and I hope they address that in future free title updates. But that's about everything that I wanted to touch upon. If you are brand new to my channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Hit the bell to receive notifications when the videos go up, and as always, thank you so much for watching. See ya.